So we were talking on interview, all those things I just have given you overview. Today we will discuss little in a broader way. So we will talk about this interview stage like, see what are the roles will be involved in interview stage. Let us say, a recruiter or hiring manager will be there, right? Because these are the people, who will take decisions. I would say, like to proceed further or decline the job application of the candidate, right? So that is the one. And do you know who will be the interview? Usually it is the managers or somebody. That is true, but interviewer, here we would say like might be, like a panel will be taking up the interview, and he will be an existing employee in the organization. Right? He might be a contractor or he might be a, sometimes contractors will also take advantage. So the contractors are employees and, as you know, this interview scheduler is a person. You know who schedules the interview, at what time, what location, or where it would be exact location where the interview should be. So that could be the interview. The interviewer scheduler could be the recruiter as well, right? No, not really, not recruiter. I would say like, because this is, what happens, this interview stage. It will be integrated with Outlook and, I would say, Google Calendar. Yeah, Google Calendar is there. If it is. If you select none, I will show you in the slides. However, in practical we will do a little later, maybe next class or something. And again, candidates are the people who are taking up the interviews. That is what the roles involved in the interview stage. And these are the domain securities like, as I said, no need to remember, but however. These are majorly the candidate, depending on the security groups, that can access interview information for these interview-related domains in the recruiting function area, like candidate data interview feedback comments, candidate data interview feedback results, and candidate data interview schedule, and person data work email self-service give interview feedback self-service. My scheduled recruiting events. So these are the domains. As I said, no need to remember and nobody will ask. I have never been asked by anybody on this. So, however, if you know right because tomorrow, if you know all this, we immediately found any security group to be, populated over there we can give modifier in that sense. Just wanted to. Okay, then how to set up, interviews? The task would be like maintain interview. Scheduling settings like this will allow defaulting for interview teams, like the panel. Who will be taking up, and what are the questionnaires we can populate to them, and what are the competencies, like their skill behavior. These things for the particular job recognition. I would say, see this screenshot. It's talking about, Maybe a little bit okay. So that's just not in the right place, I think you see. This is the interview team. Okay, see, here in tenant, we exactly don't know, right, who is the panel, these things and all. That is the reason few taken the screenshots actually to explain it. Anyway, these are the interviewers who will take up the interview, I would say like panel. Let's these people, these three, Anderson, Martin Johnson, ABC, and what is the duration of the interview? It will be mentioned over here by the settings, and whether the interview type would be like person, phone, or video. Nowadays, people will say virtual or face-to-face. Sometimes I mean it will be there. That's me, that's what. And when it comes to alternate interviewers, this is like when the panel is not available, they will include somebody else. That time that person has to take up the interview. That's what. And when it comes to competencies, I mean we can select whichever the competencies. It is in same page. We are just calling it to. You know a little bit, I would say, right, so that you know we'll get this questioners. Like questioners in this sense. So which questions we can ask? See here what are the questions we will attach. The panel will get to know what are the questions he needs to ask to the candidates that list. It will be there so that it will actually help the panel to take up what questions needs to be asked further. If it is required anything, we'll attach those questions, okay? So that's what. So this is one way of setting up the interview. The other. It could be done through Microsoft Outlook or Google Calendar. That's correct, correct. This is almost like manually, I would say, the other one which will integrate to Outlook, and the one which you said, the other one. I'll show you next slide so that you will get to know this is manual. I would say and see in the same page there is recommended settings, right? So we are just discussing those things in the recommended interview settings. Earliest start time. The interview should happen between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and they'll check for the panel availabilities for the, upcoming 2 weeks, and the slots will be for Monday, Thursday, Saturday. So, based on that, they will take and they'll set up the interviews. And what are the rooms? Rooms needs to be that. I'll show you some screenshots. And, when it comes to other tasks, maintain interview feedback ratings. But see here, highly recommended when a candidate is really having that stuff. Maybe he is really capable enough to expertise in his particular functional area. Then this will be highly recommended. Recommended with reservation means he will be good in few, and he may not be that great in few, but still, however, they will recommend with this reservation. So these are settings. It will be done default. There will be that you want to add or something we can do, but however these are, it will be there. Feedback restrictions. And when we come to maintain interview types, this is the other task. As you know how the interview types will be like phone, video, and in person. These are the types. So as we are discussing, when we go to this Edit Tenant Setup Recruiting, we will get an option. Integration should be. That integration should be where we select. With Microsoft Outlook it will happen through Outlook. Okay, usually it will happen through Outlook that integrations, and all an integration will also trigger. So will the integration team do this? Yes, of course there will be a, integration which will trigger actually all this. And if you select Google Calendar, that also we can do, but it will be quite easy. But however I said, both of the features will not work. None of the above means manually.